Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this session and today we shall discuss about North America. North America is a continent entirely within the northern hemisphere and almost all within the western hemisphere. It can also be considered a northern subcontinent of the Americas. This session is divided into 5 major points which are physical geography, landforms and aerial features, mountains, rivers, waterfalls, deserts and lakes, climate and major attractions. While geographically North America includes Mexico, the general perception of many North Americans is that the name refers to the United States and Canada only. The landforms of North America have been conducive to human use. The landforms of the region include several that are common to both Canada and USA. Major landforms are the Canadian Shield. The Canadian Shield has a greater land area with fewer people living in it than any other geographical region on the North American continent. This geographic region has some of the hardest and oldest rocks to be found anywhere in North America. Scientists estimate that there were at least 150 separate volcanic belts or strings of volcanoes involved in creating the foundation of the Canadian Shield. This region is the very first portion of North America to be pushed up above sea level. The shield was the center of continental glaciations in North America that leveled the land and created numerous lakes, marshes and ponds. Portions of 5 Canadian provinces, 4 states of the US and the world's largest island, Greenland, are included within the Canadian Shield. The Atlantic Coastal Plain. The Atlantic Coastal Plain is an area of flat land without any trees. It is broad and easily accessible plain. There are 2 recognizable regions. The first is north of Cape Fear, North California. It is an area of submerged coast where the coast has sunk in the past, flooding the river mouths. The second is south of this point to the Mexican border. It is an emergent coastal plain where the land is slowly rising. Coastal plain features some of the most beautiful and diverse landforms in all of North America. The Piedmont. Between the Atlantic Coastal Plain and the Appalachian Mountains is the Piedmont, a transition zone between mountains and plains. It is sometimes called low mountains that typically occur in the western Piedmont near the Blue Ridges. Occasionally, due to diverse rock formations, faults and outcroppings, these mountains can rise at various locations across the Piedmont. The Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountain range in North America. They date back about 650 million years. The collision between the North American and African plates caused the mountain range to rise up. Appalachians had become the highest point of the eastern part of the continent, running from Newfoundland down to the central part of Alabama. Central lowlands. Central lowlands constitute the agricultural heart of the American continent. They are formed by the Ohio, Mississippi, Missouri drainage. In Canada, these lowlands lie along the Great Lakes of Erie and Ontario and the St. Lawrence River. This area is fertile, well drained and level, making it suitable for mechanized equipment. The Great Plains. At the very heart of North America, between the Rocky Mountains and east of the Mississippi River, one can find one of the continent's largest regional landforms, the Great Plains. Its most striking feature is its flatness and wide open spaces. The Great Plains encompasses all or part of 15 of the United States and 3 Canadian provinces. In Canada, the Great Plains is known as the Prairies. The region is known for supporting extensive cattle ranching and dry farming. The Western Mountains. The Great Plains merged to the west into the north-south has elevations exceeding 15,000 feet. The mountains are important because of their impact on climate and transportation. They are the sources of many of the major rivers in the continent, and they act as recreational region and as a barrier between the Great Plains and the west. The Canadian portion of the Rocky Mountains offers some of the most beautiful views in the world. The area of Western Canada is known as the Western Cordillera, which is an area of mountains and plateaus and valleys. The two mountain ranges are the Rocky Mountains and the Coast Mountains, with peaks exceeding an elevation of 13,000 feet. The Pacific Coastal Plain. The Pacific Coast Ranges are the series of mountain ranges that stretch along the west coast of North America from Alaska in the south to northern and central Mexico. There are a wide variety of climatic types in North America. The factors contributing to the continent's climatic pattern are its great latitudinal extent, its size, the prevailing westerly winds, the warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico and the mountain ranges. The continent has a variety of climate from the dry, bitter, cold of the Arctic to the steamy heat of the tropics. The interior of Greenland, always at sub-zero temperatures, is permanently covered by an ice cap. In the far south, there are low-lying areas which are always hot and rainy. The rest of North America is cold in the winter and warm in the summer with moderate precipitation. Some areas have mild winters and long, hot summers, and others have harsh winters and short summers. North America extends to within 10 degrees of latitude of both the equator and the North Pole, embraces every climatic zone from tropical rainforest and savanna on the lowlands of Central America to areas of permanent ice cap in central Greenland. Subarctic and tundra climates prevail in North Canada and North Alaska, and desert and semi-arid conditions are found in interior regions cut off by high mountains from rain-bearing westerly winds. Fortunately, a large part of the continent has temperate climates very favorable to human settlement and agriculture. North America has the United States and Canada as two of the largest global emitters of greenhouse gases that contribute to a warm climate. All 10 of the hotspot categories can be found in this region, including changes such as polar warming in Alaska, coral reef bleaching in Florida, animal range shifts in California, glaciers melting in Montana, and marsh loss in Chesapeake Bay. This higher density of early warning signs in the US and Canada is also because these regions have more readily accessible climate data and more means and programs to monitor and study environmental change. The continent of North America is composed of 3 major countries, namely USA, Mexico, and Canada. Let me first start with the first country, USA. The United States of America is a country in North America consisting of 50 states covering a vast portion of North America, with Alaska in the extreme northwest and Hawaii extending the nation's presence into the Pacific Ocean. It also has the states of Alaska and Hawaii. The capital is Washington, D.C., and the New York City is the largest city. Coastal plains along the eastern coast rise to mountain ranges further inland. Beyond the Great Lakes, the mid-continent is dominated by the Great Plains, a fertile agricultural area. From the western edge of the Great Plains, the Rockies and other mountain ranges rise. Mountains continue almost to the western coastal area along the Pacific. The United States has an extremely varied climate, but in general temperatures increase from north to south. Animal life is varied with mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds and fish throughout. The United States is exceptionally rich in natural resources. A diversity of crops and trees grows readily. The country contains significant deposits of many important minerals, including more than 1/5 of the world's coal. Rivers. Rivers flow from far within the continent and the Great Lakes. 5 large inland lakes along the US border with Canada provide additional shipping access. These extensive waterways have helped shape the country's economic growth over the years. The United States of America has over 250,000 rivers with a total of 35 lakh miles of rivers. The longest river in the USA is the Missouri River, but the biggest in terms of water volume is the Mississippi River. Oceans. The United States is bordered by the Pacific, the Atlantic and the Arctic Oceans. The country is bordered by the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Alaska is a state that is bordered by the Arctic Ocean. Waterfalls. Yosemite Falls in California is the tallest waterfall in the United States. It is located in Yosemite National Park. Mountain ranges. A few of the major mountain ranges in the United States are Appalachian Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the Alaska Range, the Cascades and the Sierra Nevadas. The ranges are further divided into smaller sub-ranges and ridges. The tallest mountain peak in the United States is Mount McKinley in the Alaska Range. Some of the major attractions of the country are the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone National Park, the Golden Gate Bridge, Niagara Falls, the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. Now, let us move on to the next country, Canada. Canada is a country in the northern part of North America. Its 10 provinces and 3 territories extend from the Atlantic to the Pacific and northward into the Arctic Ocean, covering 9.98 million square kilometers, making it the world's second largest country by total area and the 4th largest country by land area. Canada's border with the United States is the world's longest land border. Canada is thinly populated, the majority of its land territory being dominated by forest and tundra and the Rocky Mountains. About 4/5 of the country's population of 35 million people live near the southern border. Climate. Canada is often associated with cold weather and snow, but in reality, its climate is as diverse as its landscape. Generally, Canadians enjoy 4 very distinct seasons, particularly in the more populated regions along the US border. Summers can be hot and dry on the prairies, humid in central Canada and milder on the coast. Spring is generally pleasant across the country. Autumns are often crisp and cool, but brightened by rich orange and red leaves on trees. Winters are generally cold with periods of snow Although southern Alberta enjoys a warm dry wind from the Rocky Mountains that breeze through and melts the snow. Winters are mild and wet on the west coast in cities such as Vancouver and Victoria. Mountains. The vast majority of mountains in Canada lie in the western provinces of British Columbia, Alberta and the Yukon Territory. Mountains can be found all over British Columbia, while these in Alberta are mainly situated on the eastern side of the Canadian Rockies. The St. Elias Mountains in the Yukon hold some of country's highest mountains, including the highest Mount Logan. Lakes. The Canadian lakes cover about 7.6% of the Canadian landmass. The main lakes are Huron, Great Bear, Superior, Great Slave, Winnipeg, Erie and Ontario. The largest lake situated entirely in Canada is Great Bear. Great Bear Lake is in the Northwest Territories. The deepest lake is Great Slave Lake. The Great Lakes Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie and Ontario are the largest group of freshwater lakes in the world. They have a total surface area of 2,45,000 square kilometers, of which about 1/3 is in Canada. Only Lake Michigan is entirely within the USA. Ontario is the only province, state or territory that borders all four Great Lakes that touch Canada. Some of the key attractions of the country are Banff National Park, Toronto's CN Tower, Victoria's Inner Harbour, Bay of Fundy and Old Montreal, St. John's Signal Hill National Historic Site and Ottawa's Parliament Hill. Now, we will look into Mexico and its geographic features. Mexico, officially the United Mexican States, is a federal republic and sovereign nation located in North America. The country is bordered to the north by the United States, to the south and west by the Pacific Ocean, to the southeast by Belize, Guatemala and the Caribbean Sea, and to the east by the Gulf of Mexico, covering almost 2 million square kilometers. Mexico is the fifth largest country in the Americas by total area and the 13th largest independent nation in the world, with an estimated population of over 120 million people. Rivers. The Mexican territory is made up of nearly 150 rivers, with 2/3 flowing into the Pacific Ocean and the remaining into the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean Sea. Although what might appear to be an abundance of fresh water, the water volume is actually unevenly distributed throughout the country, with only 5 of the approximate 150 rivers accounting for half of Mexico's average annual volume of surface water. All these 5 rivers flow into the Gulf of Mexico. Mountains. Mexico is crossed from north to south by 2 major mountain ranges, the Sierra Madre Oriental and Sierra Madre Occidental, which are the extension of the Rocky Mountains. At the center of the country, from east to west, Mexico is crossed by the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, also known as the Sierra Nevada. Most of the central and northern Mexican territories are located at high altitudes with the highest elevations. These mountains make up 3 of the 7 tallest mountains in all of the North America. Some of the major tourist destinations are Copper Canyon, Acapulco, Los Cabos, Teotihuacan, Chichen Itza, and Thulam. We shall wrap up this session by saying North America has about 16.5% of the Earth's land area. North America is the third largest continent by area, following Asia and Africa, and the fourth by population after Asia, Africa and Europe. North America is a very large continent which surpasses the Arctic Circle and the equator. Greenland, along with the Canadian Shield, is tundra with average temperatures ranging from 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. The continent is richly endowed with natural resources including great mineral wealth, vast forests, immense quantities of fresh water and some of the world's most fertile soils. These have allowed North America to become one of the most economically developed nations in the world, and its inhabitants enjoy a high standard of living. I hope you all have understood briefly on North America. Thank you.